Hey there, everybody. How's it going? I really like numbers, right? Love statistics, love reading about things. Makes me, just that much more superior than your average person. However, the other day I was reading two different articles and they were by the Pew Research Center. If you don't know who they are, the Pew Research Center is a think tank based out of Washington, D.C. And what they do is they actually collect a bunch of data from a bunch of different places and kind of condense it and make it easier to read. If you're into this sort of stuff, feel free to go check it out for yourself. Two of the big ways that were talked about in the articles that women are outperforming men is that, for one thing, in a lot of metro areas, women are actually overall a bit more successful than men are. I believe 22 was the number that was stated in the article. I'll link it down below if you want to check it out. The other article talked about how there's actually more college educated women in the workforce right now today than there are men, right? A lot of jobs that men occupy are very, I hate to say low skill, but don't require a higher education. And so actually now, by the numbers, there are more women that have higher education than there are men. And overall, I think that this is a really good thing, right? In general, you want a more educated workforce. You want people to, be more knowledgeable. However, this kind of sticks out to me because in regards to dating, it shakes things up a little bit. You see, now that women aren't necessarily tied down to a man like they once were way back in the olden days, or even heck, just a few years or decades ago, it gives them more option, right? It gives them more leeway to choose the guy that they want to be with, and they don't have to go with the guy that may be a piece of crap, but hey, he's a doctor, so I guess he'll take care of me. This is good on both fronts. For one thing, a lot of guys get really disgruntled about this, right? They feel as though they can never, get a girlfriend or get a wife in this sort of environment, and that's just simply not true. I hate to say it, but people settle all the time, and it goes both ways with both men and women. The idea that just because overall things are more accessible to one gender doesn't necessarily mean that women overall are going to just magically disregard lower earning guys. I mean, heck, I hate to use this as an example, but even my own father and my stepmother are a prime example of this. My stepmother is a doctor. She has a PhD. She, has done everything, teaches nursing, does all this crazy stuff. My dad's a stay-at-home dad. They met, while he was just working kind of a bit of a lower skill job than she was, and they hit it off well. Things are great. And both of their differences complement each other. So this idea that, women inherently want a guy who makes a lot of money just isn't true. The other point is that women now do have more options. And while that's true, that guys have to, raise the bar a little bit and be a little bit better, which I think is a good thing overall, because dear Lord, if you've ever scrolled through a woman's Bumble or Hinge or heck, even Instagram, and you see half the messages that they get, they're so low quality. They're terrible. I mean, you hear crazy stories about guys just putting in the littlest amount of effort possible, or sometimes just being outright explicit, and it's almost jaw-dropping how bad it is. So the fact that women can now command more and a little bit better behavior of guys overall, I think is good, because in general, guys should be acting a little bit better. Okay, so you're probably saying, all right, so they got more options. I got to raise the bar. How does that really benefit me as a guy? And think about it like this. If they have a lot more options and they're able to choose vast more arrays of guys now than ever before, and the fact that they're choosing you shows that you hit those bars, right? They're getting better, and it shows that you are getting better as well too. You're fitting the criteria and you're doing phenomenal at it. I think that this is great across the board for everybody. So this begs the question. If you're not having any luck with dating or relationships or just, meeting people or interacting with people at all, is that because you're so low bar, you're so low quality? Well, no, not necessarily. Because think about it. It's all still a numbers game, right? just because you might be a great person or you might fit the criteria for 90% of the population doesn't necessarily mean that you're going to find the one that you're looking for, or even that you're going to find them relatively soon, right? It's still kind of a mix mash of seeing who's available at the right time, who do you know, who will you know, and all the other factors that I'm just not really bothering to put in there. So don't be disheartened if dating, relationships, or even friendships aren't working out for you right now. And don't think that it is because you are low quality. However, if you do keep going on dates, or you do keep, losing friendships, or you do keep, running through marriages like Zsa Zsa Gabor, you might want to look at the common denominator, right? Is it you? Is it the people you're with? What's the deal and what's going on? There's a bunch of different factors, and again, this is a case-by-case thing, but just know that, hey, maybe if things aren't working out, it is because women have raised their standards overall, and rightfully so, and you might just have to change just a little bit with the times. Thank you for watching. Have a nice day.